The university's policy, as Jim alluded to, is an all-comers policy or an open-to-all policy. When it comes to leadership, the same basic principle must apply.
In our Constitution, it says that we have the freedom to practice religion. And here at Vanderbilt, I just don't feel like that's necessarily the case.
I come here and I want to have these opportunities to be a leader and to be involved in these organizations and see them being taken away from me.
Anyone can come in and take over an organization and disband it because they don't like the organization.
It's a travesty to try to enforce this.
The belief that isn't followed, or a belief that doesn't really matter to your actions, really isn't a belief at all.
It's just a matter of us losing the ability to be able to freely decide who our leaders are going to be.
It became clear that it wasn't about logic anymore. Because if it was, this policy would be applied universally.
If we can't ask our leaders to be religious, what's the point of our group?
Hold the administration accountable. It seems that they're unbridled, that they're doing things that they really need to be checked on.
We allow discrimination. The most discriminatory practice on campus is actually admissions.
The Christian organizations are not discriminating against people. They're saying you're not qualified.
What the university would like to say is that they're okay with us having value-based codes of conduct, but only when those values correspond very specifically with the university's values.
My hope is that they'll find a way to allow religious groups that are so important to undergraduate student life to stay on campus.
I don't think this is over. I think Vanderbilt alums and other people will continue to speak out and speak up.
It was originally a non-discrimination policy that within the student handbook included within it protection for religious association. Out of nowhere, with no warning or no public statement, it was revealed that they eliminated the protection for freedom of religious association and decided that they were then going to start implementing a non-discrimination policy that they claimed was in place all along. When they were trapped by some of their own inconsistent statements, they then changed it to an all-comers policy.
Within the administration, they're instituting this new policy saying, hey, we are instituting an all-comers policy where across the board for all of our organizations, we're going to allow for everybody to have the opportunity to join for membership and leadership within every organization.
So now groups such as the Navigators I'm involved in or the Christian Fraternity can no longer use values or beliefs as requirements for their leadership.
The administration there at Vanderbilt seems to want to create tolerance and non-discrimination, this all-comers policy, which is doing just the opposite of that.
I'm concerned now that because of Vanderbilt's actions, they indeed now are, in my opinion, discriminating against the Christian organizations.
If we're really an organization with religious beliefs, it's not only important but necessary that our leaders share those beliefs.
It is a lack of common sense. I mean, it would make sense that an organization should be able to appoint the leaders based upon their core beliefs of the organization.
It's going to devolve, in my opinion, into a case where if a non-Christian isn't elected, it's going to be assumed that there was discrimination.
I feel like the bigger threat is that we lose the right to be able to freely choose our leaders.
We believe these things, and therefore we do not think we should be discriminated against based on wanting to put these beliefs into action.
My fear is that this would be the beginning of further clampdown by the university on freedoms that students have, and maybe ultimately freedoms that faculty have.
Vanderbilt's non-discrimination policy says you can't discriminate based on sex, religion, race, sexual orientation. What is the biggest organizations on this campus that discriminate according to sex? It's fraternities and sororities.
Just by nature of recruitment, you're selective in membership, and by being selective, you're discriminating based on hair color, whether she's good at talking to during recruitment, or things like that. So I would say that is discrimination in itself.
They've said that Greek organizations are somehow exempt under Title IX. Title IX grants Vanderbilt the opportunity to allow Greek organizations to function if they choose to, but it does not mandate that. And so what we see them doing is selectively applying their all-comers policy to religious organizations when they could apply it to Greek life but have decided not to.
It does seem unfair that this policy is applying to one organization that I was a part of, Campus Crusade for Christ, but it's not applying to Tri Delta, which I was also a member of. Now they're saying anyone can come in and take over an organization and disband it because they don't like the organization.
In fact, David Williams even said that they'd have to look into granting religious organizations an exemption if they gave that exemption to Greek organizations. Well, that exemption has clearly been given to Greek organizations and not even considered for us.
As far as our voice and influencing the people who are making the decisions, I feel like that's been taken away because we have clearly expressed our discontent at this policy, and I don't feel like that has been taken into consideration.
They preach that they are tolerant and that this policy is to end discrimination, when in fact this policy is directly discriminating on my right to be a religious person and to take that into all aspects of my life.
I've supported Vanderbilt for 50 years, and I'm going to cut off my support if this policy goes through, because I can't support an institution that discriminates against Christian organizations. I just can't do it.
I'll say this, I have loved my Vanderbilt experience, and I would not trade that for anything. But over the course of my time here, I've come to the point where I will never give money to this institution.
I've decided to attend Rice University primarily for the reason that they have a graduate student fellowship that isn't being attacked by the administration, and that I know that I have the right to practice my faith there freely and openly.
I came to Vanderbilt because of the active and very loving Christian community that I found when I visited, and I don't know if that's going to be here in 3 or 4 years because of this policy.
And I even had to stop being a tour guide. I love tour guiding, but I couldn't do it anymore because I couldn't honestly say that this administration values the beliefs and convictions of its students.
The Constitution.
The Constitution.
The Constitution guarantees me the right.
Guarantees me the right.
Guarantees my right.
Guarantees my rights to religious freedom.
Leadership matters.
Leadership matters.
Leadership matters.